All right, welcome everybody. We're here at our Google Docs training with the San Diego Unified Psychologists Department. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to do a presentation of roughly about 60 minutes, talking about some of the major features of Google Docs. And then at the end of that, we will have some question and answers going on. And if you have any questions or want to see something again as we're going along the presentation, feel free to unmute your microphone and ask away. Just know that you might be part of the recording. So thank you so much for being here today, and let's get started by going straight to our Google Drive. Okay, so here we are in my sandy.net Google Drive. And I know it's my sandy.net one because if I hover over my picture and name, it shows up with the sandy.net email address. And I think this bears mentioning at this point because it was just a week or two ago that we had our Drive training and we talked about organizing files and all of that. And I just want you to notice that the priority button that used to be here a week ago, about 3 or 4 days ago, it was replaced automatically by a new home button, which works entirely different. And in fact, that home button, when you open up your drive, it doesn't go to the drive like you see here. It automatically goes to home. If that happens to you, just know that you can go up to this little gear setting right here in your Google Drive and just click on settings. And it's very simple. If home is selected, which is what they did for me, they switched it to home automatically, and I was like, wait, what's going on? I just switched it back and clicked drive and then got out of settings, and now it goes back to the way that I'm used to. You could experiment with home. I'm not terribly impressed with it. I wasn't impressed with priority because I never use that either. And I suspect I probably won't be using this one either because we get used to organizing the way that we talked about in our last training. So here we are, we're in Drive, and today we're going to be talking about Google Docs, so we're going to jump straight in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remember that my folders here are organized by name in alphanumeric ordering, which we talked about last time. And so I'm just going to right click real quick and click on folder. And I'm going to create a new folder here, but because I want it to show up in the prime position, that is the top left in the alphanumeric ordering, I'm just going to put a bunch of dots there. And then I'm going to type in today's folder. And this is where I can keep track of everything that we're working on today so that we can keep track of it. I guess that's the best answer right there. And so there it is, it shows up, and I want it to stand out. So I'll just go down to organize and I'll make it red, and boom, there we are. And then paying attention to our navigation bar up here, our breadcrumb trail, I'm going to drill down, double click on that. And now we're inside the today's folder, which is inside of my drive. And so it says I can drop files here, or I can use the new button to upload files or upload folders. There are a couple things that I want to bring in here to talk about today. And so I'm just going to remind us that we can always right click and get the same menu. And I'm going to left click on File Upload. And then now I'm searching through my browser. And this is something we do anytime we're working in any of the Google apps and we're trying to upload something into Google Docs or our Drive or our spreadsheet, Google Sheets or something, we have to go figure out where it is. And so here I am on this PC, it's on my desktop. There's my Zoom training materials. And if I go down to Docs Basics right there, I've got all of these. And so here's the ones that I want. And so I'm simply selecting formatting and editing. We're going to be using that today. But I also want this waiver form. And we talked a little bit about this last time, but because we're in Docs, it's more important that we talk about this. And so, but you notice I can only click on one or the other. So if you just select one and then you hold down the Control key, then you can select the other just like that. And I'm going to say open. And there we go. So it's going to show up here. Down here at the right, it says uploading. This happened very quickly. So now it says it's uploaded. And again, I have mine in grid view because I like to see like a little picture of it. And up in the corner, this tells us this is an Adobe PDF and this is a Microsoft Word document. We're going to go to those in just a minute, but to get started with all things Google Doc, I want to open up just a blank Google Doc, just so we can kind of look at the user interface and talk about a few things real quick. So again, I could go to New and then go down to Docs and just say blank document, or I could just right click since it was already down there, do the same thing and just say blank document. We can see it's opening up a new tab. and it's untitled. So we're just going to call this practice for today. All right, that looks good. And watch what happens over here. And this is just like all of the Google apps. As soon as I click away from this to in essence, set that, I click right there. It says saving. That's about 3 seconds in, 4 seconds in. Wow, it's taking a long time. I have a slow connection. Okay, that took, I'm guessing, 7 or 8 seconds. I wasn't really counting, but usually it's about half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds. So this is just a good reminder that all things Google happen in our browser, or it is to say that it's not really happening on our computer. It's happening up in the cloud, which is the euphemism for these large server farms where Google stores all of our stuff. And at near the speed of light, every click of the mouse, every stroke of the keyboard is interacting with those server farms. And that's where, in this case, this practice Google Doc is. That's where our Google Drive is and all that. Oh, look, it says untitled. But wait, no, I titled it, right? Just a reminder. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for information to go back and forth, especially, I just hit this, see, maybe it'll give it to us real quick. There it is, practice. So because we have, we're well protected behind our firewall at San Diego Unified, sometimes the rate at which data goes back and forth slows down a little bit. So the first thing we're going to notice is we have this quick access toolbar here that goes all the way across. And I really like that because when you start off with Microsoft Word, it gives you like 4 or 5 little quick access toolbar features. And so what Google has done is said, you know what, here's kind of the basics of what most people use. And so we're going to throw them out there. And so this is interesting. If we're trying to search something that's up here in these drop-down menus, there's a lot of stuff up there. And you'll notice that there's like, little expand little buttons or whatever. There's always more stuff or whatever. There's a lot of things up there. And so this is something they introduced not too long ago. I don't even know when it showed up. I just suddenly noticed it and I thought, wow, that's cool. So you can actually search to find stuff just by, if you remember what the name is, it'll take you to where it is. Because note this, that you're looking at about 20, maybe 25 different features here, which exist in the hundreds of features up here. Only about 20 or 25 of them are actually on a quick access toolbar. And again, it's the tools that Google thinks that we're going to use the most often. So let's just take a quick look at a couple. And if we're familiar with them, then great. We already know this is undo and that's redo. But if we can't remember, hover over it. There it is, undo. That means whatever we do on our document, if we don't like it, we can immediately undo it. And it also shows us that we can use Control Z, our keyboard shortcut. And so this one to the right of it, of course, is redo, which is Control Y. And this one here looks like a printer. We know that's a printer. And with a little bit of practice, we start to realize, okay, spelling and grammar, paint format, we're going to use that today. Here's the zooming at 100%. In fact, I might even use that right now. How about we make this page a little bit bigger? That looks good. And so we can actually see we're in like a print layout where you can actually see the page. So this page is white. The background is just slightly more grayish blue, maybe. There's a little bit of contrast there. So we can see the edge of the page here. And we also have our ruler up here. And so if we look on the ruler, we can see these little blue tabs right here. And that's, of course, set for our margins. And so this is the print layout view. So when we're typing, we kind of get a better feel for what our page is going to look like. All right. So these are some advanced things where they tried to introduce styles, something I talked about in our last class, which is the heavy-duty formatting tools that are used in Word, which allow you to do some really amazing things quickly. Google has thrown a couple at us. They don't work very well. We're not going to talk about it today. We can dive into that later in troubleshooting if you're interested. This, of course, we recognize all the different fonts. Here's the most recent ones I've used, and the elevator car shows us all these other ones. And then, of course, anytime there's a little expansion button, we can, find additional ones there. So we'll just leave it at Calibri for right now. We recognize these, of course, if we've been around for a minute, bold, italicize, and as I'm hovering over it, you can see the keyboard shortcut for that, if there is one, text color. And of course, this is increasing font, and we have all these different ones. So I guess one thing I'll just share real quick. And before I do that, I'll just say that these are some things that they just started throwing out there saying, hey, what are you doing today, Mr. J? Are you doing some meeting notes? Well, hover over this. Look, we've already got this format. All you have to do is put real people's names in there and then the real date. Of course, it is January 29th, so I guess that's pretty good. And there it is. You can get started. We've got this whole layout for you, meeting notes. If you want that, all you got to do is click there. That's pretty cool. That's just one. Look at this one. Oh, hey, Mr. J, you're going to start sending emails to people and you just want to type it all out in Google Docs first before you switch it over? I will tell you that this is not going to work for us because getting this into Outlook is not an easy deal. If we were using Gmail, piece of cake. And then this one, I'm just going to click on it so it'll show what it is. This is just like people. So, different things that are there and different building blocks, all kinds of stuff. So they're trying to like help us out and give us some different things or whatever. And now that I clicked away from it, all of those things are gone. Okay, well, now that we've seen this, so I'm just going to type in a word about Word. There we go. And so now I've got my Word right here. And if I double click on it, let's try that again. Double click, it will select it as opposed to dragging across it. And so now I can use all of this stuff. And so if we were in Microsoft Word, which is on order of 100 plus times more powerful than this, if I wanted to know what an 8 looked like, all I'd have to do is hover over it. And Word's preview mode would show us what all these were. And if I was in Word and I wanted to see what 96 size font would be, I could do it just by hovering over it. And this over here to the left, this would just be getting bigger or smaller depending on where I was on this continuum. And so I'm just going to click on 96 to see how big that is. Oh, that's way too large for our class. Undo. Bam, brings it back. So again, we all of a sudden we recognize that we don't have the power and the facility of Microsoft Word, but that's okay. We're used to doing different things. And well, I just want to make this like a size 14, so we're good. Wonder what a little bit bigger looks like, 15, 16, 17. Oh, that's too big. So they're giving us all these tools where we can quickly start interacting with this. We can make it bold, italicized, we can underline it, we can do whatever we want. And when we do that, we'll notice that each one that we select, there's like a little blue-gray square around it to help us know what it is we're doing. Of course, we know it's Calibri and it's size 14 because it's selected right now. And that's pretty cool. So if we want to change the text color, we can. We can click on there. We can make it red. That's kind of fun. This is highlight, the background color, like you would use a yellow highlighter if you were marking up a book or something. We can do this a little bit, but here's an insert link. Here's comments if you're sharing stuff back and forth. Like say Diana is working with Yvonne and they're having comments back and forth as they work on this important document for the Psychologists Department, then that's where you would click on it to start doing that. If I wanted to throw a picture in there, I could do it there. Is that the only thing I can insert? Let's just real quick jump over here, insert. Oh no, not only do we have images from many sources, we can do tables, drawings, charts, emojis, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we'll do a couple of those things in just a minute. But there's the most common one, I guess, image insert right there. Here's how we make it align left or center aligned or justified. Here's where we do line and paragraph spacing, checklist. Anyway, so bullet lists and all that stuff, and increase indent, decrease indent, and get rid of formatting. So there's the basic ones right there. So the first thing I want to tell you is all of these little shortcuts, which are basically little icons for these various features, all of them exist somewhere up here in these drop-down menus, or again, maybe in the sub-menu of a menu. And again, some of them have like 3 or 4 tiers, so you have to kind of like go search for them. But all of these quick access toolbar things reside somewhere up here in these drop-down menus. And there are hundreds of options there. And I will tell you that just about every time I open this up, there's like a blue little banner somewhere that says, hey, this is new. This smart chip thing was something that came out like a month or 2 ago, and there was a blue banner there for quite some time saying, hey, this is new. They're always adding new stuff. And so that's a good thing. They're making this more capable all of the time. So again, our user interface, we can set it up in a number of different ways. But before we go any further with this and just kind of explaining the user interface before we start practicing some of the different skills, I just wanted to point this out. So did you know that back in 2010, when Drive came on the scene, prior to Drive, there was no Drive. There was a Docs home and there was a Google Sheets home, because naturally all your sheets, whether it's Excel or Google Sheets, they're all there in the Sheets, home. And then all of your documents, whether it was Microsoft Word or Google Doc, they were all in the Docs home. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see it's keeping us in the same tab. We're not opening up another one. If we want to start a new document, there it is. And then we have these templates that are here. We'll take a look at that in a second. But you'll notice, and we were talking about this before, Diana, that with the new Home tab, that we have a way to see all of our files everywhere. Well, in the Docs Home, thank goodness, all of our files in here are going to be all either Word or they're going to be Google Docs. You're not going to see the sheets. You're not going to see slideshows. You're not going to see Google Forms or whatever. And I'm just kind of scrolling down here to see if I can find a W somewhere, meaning that it's Microsoft Word. And I don't see it. Oh, there's more. There's a whole bunch there. Well, I won't spend too much time to go look for that. But this is another place where all of your documents reside. So in theory, you could go find it here. And look, owned by me, you've got a couple choices. Owned by anyone, not owned by me. A couple different choices to kind of narrow down your little searches here. And look, you have a little search button up here, so you could do that as well. Just a thought. But real quick, template gallery. If I hit this button here, it kind of expands it. And I'm going to go this tab first, general. These are templates provided by Google. And what are they? Things that have been created in Google Docs. And so anything cool you see down here below, it can be done in Google Docs. And you can take any one of these by double clicking on them and then put your school name, your phone number, whatever it is you've looked at, and you can make it your own. That's what these are for. They're like a head start, a shortcut. They're templates. So here's the education category. So we've got essays, reports, whatever. Here's some more reports, book report, maybe classrooms use this, lesson plans. This sounds like for teachers. Here's some letters. So we have, business letters and different things. Here's some resumes. So again, this is all things Google. Here's some work-related ones, project proposals. So is this going to work for us at the school district? Perhaps not. Here's some extra ones outside of Google that you can add on. See, this one's by Lucidchart, by PandaDoc. And so they're even giving you some extra ones that you can go get and put them into your template gallery. That was the general tab, the one from Google. But because we're part of the sandy.net Google domain, we also have a San Diego Unified template gallery. And so here we have a whole bunch of stuff. And you may or may not remember this, but when we just had our Google Drive training a week or two ago, when I just dropped in here real quick and I clicked on here, this was the only one that I remember seeing. And now I'm looking at all of these other ones that are here. And so these have been produced by someone in the district, and they've talked to the sandy.net Google administrator and said, hey, we need to have all this stuff in there so our teachers or our staff members, maybe it's the psychologists, can have access to it and they'll know where to find it in the template gallery. And again, a template is just something made in Google Docs that you can then grab a hold of and then start changing stuff on there, put your name on it, personalize it, make it work for you. And that's in the template gallery. All right, so we're still here back at Docs Home. And we're going to go ahead and go back now to where we were with our documents. So I'm just going to hit this back button. And again, it's the same tab. So it takes us back where we were. All right. So here we are. We're looking at a single word that we've done so far. We've done a couple different things to it. That's great. I'm just going to select it real quick like that, just by dragging across it. And I'm going to go over here to this tool. It says clear format. Turn it back to its natural self, the way it was at the beginning before I did anything else. And the reason I'm doing that is because I just want to check out a couple of other things. So we're going to open up another document and turn it into a 100% Google Doc from the Word document, the one that we had put in our practice folder for today, or today's folder. But before we do that, there's a couple other ones that we can do here. And I want to go over to where this is. And if we forget what it is, we hover over it. It's a bullet list. And so I could start to create a list here. I can do it two ways. I can just click bullet list, or if I want it to be a numbered list, I could do it that way and then just start creating the list. Or I could just start creating stuff and then later decide to make it. So let's just pretend that we're going to want to order some printer paper, and we just need a number of different colors to meet our needs. So here's blue. How about green? Oh, if I could spell correctly. Green, How about red? Oh, gotta hit enter, don't I? And then red. All right. And I'm going to stop right there for just a second. The first couple things that I notice is these things are very close together, single space. I kind of want this list to be a little bit more spread out. So I'm just dragging down the side here to select these things real quick. In fact, I'm going to just add a bunch of spaces down here real quick so I can just more easily do this. Okay. So we want to use some of our features. We remember this one over here, it says line and paragraph spacing. So right now we can see the check marks on single. So, well, maybe we want it 1.15. Maybe we want it 1.5. Maybe we want it double. Again, if we were in Word, we'd be in preview mode. And right over here, these things would be changing, spacing apart to match whatever it is I was hovering over. But I'm just, for the sake of doing it quick, I'm just going to go ahead and select 1.5. Again, if I didn't like that, I could always go back and select a different one. But I kind of like that 1.5. So undo that last one. There it is. All right. Since there's already selected there, now I can go over here to the bullet list and I can either just click on it and it will go to the default bullets, or it gives me some options there. And again, if we were in Word, every hover would show us and demonstrate a preview over there on our page of what it would look like. I'm just going to pick the default one, and there it is. Sure enough, we have a little bullet list here going. So I'm going to put my cursor right here. And the next one I want to do is yellow. So I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to type in yellow. All right. And what's interesting is I want to do yellow, but I want to do subsets of yellow. And so this is where we get to practice how bullet lists or numbered lists work. If I hit enter, it thinks I'm going down the same tier or the first level, if we will. Blue, green, red, yellow. What's the next one? Is it orange? Is it brown? What is it? No, actually, it's bright, which is a form of yellow. Neon is another one I want to do. And I don't want to type it there. So how do I get everything to the right? Well, it's really simple, and this works the same way for all things numbered and bullet list. I just hit the tab key up there in the top left part of your QWERTY keyboard, and it will move it to the right. Okay, there we go. So what are they? Well, we want bright. That's one type of yellow. We want neon. That's another one. And how about pastel? That's another one. Okay. Oh yeah, now I want to get some brown paper. I forgot I need brown papers. So I'm not interested in the yellow anymore. So I hit enter. And it's like, there you go, Mr. J. We're ready to add another type of yellow in this subcategory. Well, no, I want to actually, go over a level to the left, go up a level, if you will. And so we already know what happens if I hit my tab key, it goes to the right. So that's how we can make subsets of subsets and all of that. So tab key is not working. So the only other one you have to remember is the return key. So instead of tab going to the right, I hit the enter key, used to be called return key when we did the typing back in the day. And then it'll move you to the left. Well, that's where we started. I still want to go left one more. And so, okay, there we go. So now I can do brown. And I could do brown like that. And I don't know. You know what, dadgummit, we're going to need some white. Oh, might help if I hit enter, huh? Enter, and then we could do white. And that's it. That's all the different paper that I need. So if I hit enter, we already know what's going to happen. It's going to go right to there. I'm done with my list. I want that to go away. Well, if tab takes us to the right and return or enter takes us to the left, return or enter is the one we want to hit, and it will take us out of it. So there we go. There's our beautiful list. And again, I could have just typed all of these out, and then I could have gone in there and used some tools to kind of figure it all out, the tab key and everything. But there it is, and I'm just going to select it this way right now. And if I want to, I can change the color of all of these things. So maybe I want to change the colors to, I don't know, let's pick red so they stand out. Well, look at that. It made even the bullets red. Can I actually change the colors of these? If I want, can I just take this one and make that blue? Yeah, you can. You can start doing some little custom things. And maybe you want this one to be green, for example. So we go find a green real fast. And ugh, that's kind of hard to see, but that's okay. So yeah, you could change those, but you'll notice it's changing the little bullet points out front. Well, if I click on those bullet points, I can select them. I could actually turn them back to black if I want and still have the colors over here. Or maybe to make it stand out, I might want a different color. And I don't know, how about purple? That should show up. Okay. And then can I do the secondary level as well? You bet. And let's just make those How about a bright orange color? Kind of hard to see because there are little circles there. So now that I've got this done, let's go back and see what our other options are. So we do the little more button here. And again, if we were in preview mode, we'd be able to see it, but that's okay. We'll try this one. Okay, so it changed the bullets to whatever that choice was we made. There's about 6 or 7 that we can do. If you want, you can actually select these and you can go find and insert a custom shape or an emoji or something like that. We'll show you where that part is a little bit later. But that's pretty cool. So again, I'm just going to select all of this and check this out. This one is numbers. So let's take a look. Here's the default one. Let's just do this one first. Okay. The good news is it kept all of our color patterns that we had already. I will tell you that I don't know when it was, maybe a year ago, it just automatically turned everything back to its black and said, okay, you've switched from bullets to here, so it's not going to do that. Somebody must have told those Google people that it would be a really good idea if we could just do that we could keep the colors. So again, we can start to change it, figure out which ones we want, and there we go. So the thing is, when we select any of these, we have all of these tools here. We can make it bold, we can underline it, we can make it italicized, we can change the font, we can change the font size, we can change the spacing, all of those different things. And then, of course, we have lots of choices as far as these options here. And then the numbered list as well. We have several options that are there. So that is how to do both bullet points and numbering. And I wanted to kind of introduce that on this page with nothing there. All right. So, and again, if I just select all of these and I go up here to clear formatting, let's see what it does. Okay. So not only did it take the color away, it took the 1.5 spacing away. All right. And of course, if like, oh, wait, no, I wanted that. Right there, undo, bam, it'll bring it back. All right, so that's a pretty cool tool and something that we could use. Real quick here, I'm going to type in something that you've probably seen before, SDUSD. Now, this is the one thing that I'm about to show. Well, actually, there's several things, but this is one of the things that I'm going to show you today that actually works better in Google Docs than it does in Microsoft Word, and it has to do with search engines. So I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut to select all of that. And the way I did that was Control Shift left arrow. That might be a little harder than just double clicking or dragging across it. But if your hand's on the keyboard and you use it, it goes pretty quick. I'm going to make this a lot bigger. Just make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it bold. And I don't know, let's make it some kind of a fun color and see if it'll stay that fun color. It's still selected. I want to make this into a link such that when someone's on this page, they can click on that and it will open up a tab up here that'll take us to the San Diego Unified School District's homepage. All right. And so we could go up here and say, okay, we'll insert a link. It's probably up here somewhere where, oh, sure enough, there it is. Control K, that's the shortcut. But remember, we have it right up here in our quick access toolbar. So I'm just going to click that. And so it's saying, hey, what is the link? It's given us some suggestions. Oh, here's some documents you were working on, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Are those it? But look down here. San Diego Unified School District homepage. Okay, there it is. Bam. I don't even have to go find it. Such that now that I have this thing here, and that's so cool, once I'm working on this thing, and if I want to, I should be able to click on that if it worked. There we go. And then just click right here and watch what it does up here on our browser. Straight there. Let's see which kiddos we have on our page today. No kid. Oh, there's a kiddo. Howdy, UTK. What is that? Universal Transitional Kindergarten. Wow, they keep coming up with new names for kindergarten. I've never heard of that one. All right, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Plus, we have links to our many different resources, including our staff portal right there. That's pretty cool. And how did we get to that? Simply with this link. By just clicking on it, this little thing opens up and we can click on that link. And again, I'm going to break that link, make the link go away. So now it's just regular. I'm going to drag across it. And just to remind you how we did this, we just click there and it says, hey, here's some suggestions. Because remember, Google is the king or queen of all things search. And so it's throwing up some suggestions there. And sure enough, it's right there. Boom, it's done. And so now we have our little link. So that's the way that you can do links. You can just type something out, you select whatever part of it you want to be a link, and depending on what it is you type out, Google might be able to figure it out. Or if I was trying to do my YouTube channel right here, I'd have to go to my YouTube channel, right click on this and copy it. And then when I go back to here, I'd type out, San Diego Unified Office Skills Training YouTube channel, and then I would select it and do the exact same thing. And then I'd have to paste in that link to the YouTube channel because it probably wouldn't get that. Although maybe it will with all the AI stuff that's going on. Okay, so we've looked at this user interface a little bit and we've seen just a couple of things. What I want to do at this point is now go back. In fact, I'll just do this real fast. Insert, we'll go use this one. Picture, search web. All right. And again, we like horses because haven't been burned yet when I look for horses. They're always giving us some good things here. And here's one we used last time. Double click, going to bring it in, creating an image. There it is. Boom. So I wanted to put that there in our practice one that we were looking at. Just because we were here, we are just looking at all the drop-down menus, kind of seeing what was there for right now, and some of these other tools that are out front. And then if we go back to our today's folder, we can see what the formatting and editing Word document is that we brought in at the beginning of class. We can see the PDF. We can't see what's here inside this one. It hasn't loaded yet in my drive. Well, it did here with our practice Google Docs document. So just remember that all things Google through the browser to the server farms, cloud computing. Sometimes you have to hit the refresh button a few times. There it is. Again, I've seen this happen as fast as I can click on my drive, it's already there. I've also seen it take a few minutes. And part of that is because of traffic on the internet in general, and the other half of that traffic, or probably 9/10 of the traffic, is because of San Diego Unified going through a firewall, which just kind of bottlenecks things a little bit. So keep that in mind. So we are here in my drive in the today's folder, and I had gone over here to this button for those of you that are just joining us, and I said file upload, and I said I wanted this one, this Word document. I know it's a Word document because there's a W there, and then this PDF over here, an Adobe product. So I'm going to open up this Word document. And if you haven't seen this before, this might be a little bit confusing, but watch what happens up here on my little browser tabs. We're right here in Drive. And if I double click, it opens up in a new tab. And I have to read it fast because it happens quick. It says, hey, we're opening this Microsoft Word document up and we're going to open it in Google Docs. So, okay, let's take a look. Here's our page layout that we saw before. Let's make it a little bit bigger. How about 125? A little easier to see. We can see our page. We can see our ruler that we saw. Oh, look, here's our quick access toolbar with all those cool tools, some of which we've already used. Oh, look, there's our drop-down menus and all of this stuff. Okay, this is a Google Doc, and it's called Formatting and Editing. And if I go back to Drive, it's called Formatting and Editing. You can see it's just a bunch of like practice sentences and paragraphs, some smaller and some bigger. And sure enough, that's what it looks like. That's exactly what it is. But make no mistake, even though we are in Google Docs, and this might be a little bit confusing, but bear with me, this is 100% a Microsoft Word document. Wait, Mr. J, are you telling me that if you import any kind of a Microsoft Word or an Excel file that's Microsoft or a PDF, that it can actually be in the Microsoft Word format inside Google Docs? Yep. And just to prove to you that I can make some changes to this Microsoft document, we're going to, in a second, we're going to turn it in. We're going to get rid of this extension here. We're going to, in essence, make a whole brand new file, 100% a Google Doc, because we don't want to be doing too much over here in the Microsoft format because weird things happen. But just to demonstrate that we can do this, let's see, I want to change formatting up here in the header. I try to click on it. I can't get in. Okay, so where would that be? Would it be under editing, whatever? Maybe, where the heck is it? Remember, I said there's right click, there's left click, there's double click, there's triple click, and try it on things and see what happens. So single click up here won't let me in the header. How about a double click? You got to not move it. Come on, Mr. J. Too much caffeine. 1, 2. Boom. So now I'm in just that fast. And now if I double click again, I've just selected that word. So now if I want to make it a little bit bigger, I could. Let's make it red. Okay, we totally changed that. Way to go. And now all I got to do is click down here to get out of it. And again, if I want to get back up there, all I got to do is hold it steady and double click, and I'm back up there. And then whatever word I want to work on, I can double click on it, or I can just drag across, whatever I want to do. So I've now clicked back in the body of our document here. And this document is actually about 8 pages long. So let's go to the next page. We can see the page break right here. This is a separate page. It's red. In fact, it's red anywhere. Really? Okay. Because it's a heading. And this is all just one single document. So I'm going to double click again. And I've decided I don't want red. I'm going to double click to select it. I'm going to go up here and pick another color. How about purple? Bam, there we go. I'm going to click in the body of the document to get out of the header. Okay, there it is. But wait, I'm on like page 4 or 5, somewhere down here. Is it going to work? You bet, because it's all connected. There's nothing breaking this document apart. In fact, if I look over here, it says 2 of 8. So there's 8 pages to this. That's pretty cool. Well, I kind of want to know what page I'm on, and we have no page numbers down here. So where on earth do we go to get those page numbers? Well, there's a couple places. Would it be under Edit for page numbers? To View? How about Insert? And if we look around, oh, look, there's some page numbers. Okay, so we got some choices down the bottom right, top right, oh, not the first page, but the second page. That's interesting. Down at the bottom, more options, page count. That's cool. How about this? We're in the footers right here. We can tell because we can see the bottom of the page. Double click. Okay. Oh, look, options. Oh, footer formats. And my zoom window's in the way. Sorry, let me move that out of the way. All right, so footer format, page numbers, remove footer. Oh, okay, so if I've got something there I don't like, then boom, I can get rid of it. How about page numbers? Bam. Oh, look at this. Okay, apply to this section, section 1. What's the other option? Whole document. Okay, well, it's calling it section 1. I don't recall making a section, so I'm a little confused by that. I'm hopeful that we'll just switch it to whole document in case something weird is going on. But you can section off a document. This is 8 pages. If I want it to be 8 different headers with 8 different footers, I could then section off each page. Or what I do when I have a 100-page handbook, I might have 8 chapters, so I might have 8 sections. And then the header in each of those sections, the first section would be chapter 1 on all the headers. And the next section would say chapter 2 and whatever the name of it is. So that's what this is about. Why it was telling me section 1, not sure why it did that, but whatever. Weird things happen in Google. Maybe I had done something in another document, and that was the last thing I left it at, that setting, and so it went straight to that. I don't recall doing that, but weirder things have happened. So here we go. We're on the footer. We're in page numbers, showing the first page. Why would you want to not show the numbers on the first page? Maybe you're doing a report and the first page is the title page and you want to start, at the next page or something. So you have those different choices. We're just going to leave it at that and say apply. Boom. There's our number over there. And so we have it on the left. Let's see if we can use some of our tools here. Could we bring it over to the right? Yep, sure enough. Can I select it and make it bold? Yeah. Can I make it bigger? Uh-huh. Can I make it a different color? You betcha. I can do all of those things. And when I click out of the footer here and to the body of the paragraph, you can see that it's done it the exact same formatting and color to all of them. And again, let's go down here to page 5, and this is just to illustrate. If I double click to get in there and then I select that and I say, oh, you know what? Red is just a little too drastic for me. Let's go with this happy blue color here. Yay. Click away from there. And yes, all of them will be changed. So headers, footers, real easy to deal with. You can just get in there and start digging in and doing all kinds of stuff. That's pretty cool. But I just did this all in Microsoft Word. So here's something you need to know. Microsoft Word and Google Docs are competitors. Yes, Google allows you to do this fun stuff that I just did in Microsoft Word, but using the tools from Google Docs. Remember, Microsoft Word is on order of 100, if not 1,000 times more powerful than Google Docs. So weird things can happen. And the Google people will tell you, yeah, bring in a Microsoft Word document, but quickly change it into a 100% Google Doc, and that way you won't have any problems. Okay, so how do we do that? So remember, here's where we started. I double-clicked on this Word document. It opened it up right here in another tab. And now, to get it out of Word, I just go here to File, and I go down to save as a Google Doc and I click on it, it's opening up a new tab. All right. And so you'll see that the formatting changes that I made are still there. The page numbers are still at the bottom. That's cool. But there's no extension here at the end. This is 100% a Google Doc. Here's where we were. All I did to change it was File, Save as a Google Doc, and it created a brand new document, 100% Google Doc. So what I'm going to tell you now is these are totally separate. One's a Word document, the original one, and one's a brand new document, which is Google Doc. Let's go back to here to see what it looks like. Oh, wow, it showed up already, and it did it quickly. It made an exact copy, and we could see that it's 100% a Google Doc. These two are different now. They're two separate files. If I put a picture in here, and I'm actually going to do that in a second, it's not going to affect this one and vice versa. So let's go to the Microsoft Word one. Go all the way back up to page 1. I'm going to put my cursor right here somewhere. I'm going to go to picture from the web. I'm going to type in horses again real quick because we like horses. And real quick, how about this one again? Double click. And so right here, it's going to show up in a second. And that's nice and big. It's right there towards the top. We go back to Google Drive to see it. Wait, there's a horse picture over there. That's the one we used before. That was in our practice one we did about 10 minutes ago. Why isn't it here? Because again, everything happens in the cloud, information, digital ones and zeros going back and forth in packets at near the speed of light to the Google server farms through the filter of our sandy.net Google domain. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it'll take half a second. Sometimes it can take a minute or two. If I want to force it, I can try to do some of this a little bit. Wait for it. Reload the page. I'm refreshing it, and eventually it's going to show up. So this is showing you that it can take some time. So remember, when you're using Google, and today we're talking specifically about Google Docs, but for everything, especially in Drive, sometimes things take a little while, and you're going to be like, didn't I not put a picture there, and why isn't it there? It just takes a little while. If we go back to the document that we were on, there's a horse there, and it should show up. Actually, I was pointing to this one. I did it on the Word document, so it should be showing up there. Come on now. Oh, well, it'll show up. That's fine. Okay, so now that we have 100% Google Doc, this is where we can spend the rest of our time working on some things. So we've kind of just took a quick peek at some of these different features here. Let's just talk about formatting and editing, a couple of things that you need to know. Very quickly playing with a computer, we learned that with the mouse, you can left click somewhere and start dragging and select stuff. And if you want, you can drag down and select a whole bunch of stuff. This can be cumbersome. Sometimes it's hard to get exactly where you want it because maybe you've had a little too much caffeine and you're trying to get it in there and, okay, I got it. And wait, I want to stop right there. And you're kind of going back and forth. That is one of the ways to do it, but there are some tricks that you can do to do some other things. So if you're just looking for a single word like sentence, dragging across there, you could do it that fast. Or you could just hold your mouse steady and double click, and it will select it. The word Microsoft, double click. All right, the word Word, double click. So that's it. It's pretty cool. Well, I said you could left click, right click, double click, triple click. Let's try something else. What happens when we already know what double click does. What if we do triple click? 1, 2, 3. Ah, it did the entire line. Let's try it down here. 1, 2, 3. Wait, it did the entire paragraph. Let's think about that for a minute. Let's try a longer one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. How about this big one here? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So a triple click is selecting the entire paragraph. It doesn't matter what size it is. I know your English teacher told you that a single sentence doth not make a paragraph, but when it comes to formatting and editing in Google Docs, it does. And why is that? Because when this was typed out and we got to the end, someone had to hit enter or return. I guess that someone would be me. And then whenever you hit the enter key at the end of something, whether it's 1 sentence, 5 sentences, 50 sentences, that makes a paragraph as far as editing goes. And so the double click is going to do one and triple click is going to do the entire paragraph. In this case, you notice it's got the little extra space there. That's where the enter key went in. So there you go. So what if I want to just select a single line? Is there a faster way? How about this? Just go over here in the margin outside of this area here and just click on it and drag. There's one. Can I do all of these? Yeah, if I want to go from here all the way to there, I could do it this way, but I've got to be really careful to get it just right, it's kind of tricky or whatever. How about this? Left click and drag. That's pretty cool. There we go. How about if I want this whole one here? Okay. How about this? Can I triple click here? Yep, it works the same. All right. So again, I can just drag for one line, or I can drag for a couple of lines, whatever. These are just different ways to select things. So keep that in mind. So right now I'm going to take Microsoft Word 2013, and I want to actually make that bigger. So let's go ahead and it was 11. I'm going to let's make it a 16. I don't really want to use Calibri, so I'm going to use one of my recent ones here, Pacifico, because that really stands out. It looks totally different, doesn't it? Now I'm going to make it bold. It's already kind of italicized, but I want to make it a little bit more italicized. In fact, I might even make it underline. Sure, why not? And let's change it to red. That's great. So if we look up here, I can see it's red. Okay. In fact, I'm going to click away from it. I'm just going to put my cursor in the middle there. And because it's just in the middle of all this formatting, it's going to show me some of the features going on. So I've got red, that's one formatting feature, underline 2, italicized 3, bold 4, change the font size from 11:16, that's 5, and change the font to Pacifico, that's 6 different changes. Great. I'm going to come down here and double click on this word sentence. I want to do the same thing. I've got to remember the font, the size, which of these I employed, the color, all of that. Wouldn't it be great if there was an easier way to do it? Yeah, there is. In Microsoft, it's called Format Painter. And then Google came along and said, oh, we need to do something like that. Let's call it Paint Format. Yes, I get that confused all the time, which one's which is why I hovered over it before I told you what it was called. But here in Google Docs, it's called Paint Format. It's also called that in Google Sheets. So all I have to do is put my cursor here. And just like all of the formatting features are displayed, the program, in this case, Google Docs, kind of knows what's going on. And so I can just go over here and go paint format. And now it's selected. And whatever word I touch, it's going to automatically take all those 6 different formatting features and transfer it instantly. Okay, that's pretty cool. What about this one? Oh, I got to do it again. Okay, so you got to keep going back. Well, what are some other things you could do? Remember, you could drag down here to select everything. Okay, that's kind of cool. I'm going to undo that real quick. I'm just going to put my cursor right there. And look what happens when you double click. It's now set. So every word I click on, it's going to keep going. Or I could just drag down and do all of these. Click over here. Okay, Mr. J, that's fantastic. How do you turn the thing off? Piece of cake. You just go back and deselect it. And now you can click anywhere you want. You don't have a problem. Okay, so I kind of went overboard here, and that looks kind of messy to me. So I'm going to use our tools here. Undo, undo, undo. Kind of get some of that stuff back like that. But what happens, and I'm going to use our redo button here real quick. What happens if I did this in the morning and then I go to lunch and I come down here and I spend 3 hours doing formatting on page 2, and then after those 3 hours I come back and I see this mess. I'm like, what was I thinking? I hadn't had lunch yet. Clearly that's a mess. I want to fix that. I cannot use the undo redo things. They're chronological. They're timed. It's linear. And so if I start undoing things, the 2 to 3 hours I spent down here making all kinds of changes would have to be undone first before this would be undone. But that's okay. We've already seen this great feature here called Clear Format. So all I got to do is use my tricks to select stuff. And it doesn't matter if you select extra stuff. That's okay. Clear formatting. And then I could just go over here and select that one if I want and say clear formatting, and it takes it back to normal. So those tools are very handy. You start to get used to using different ones or whatever, and pay attention to these little squares and things. They're all trying to tell you something. And you can use the paint format all you want to try and do things. And by the way, paint format is great when you're in a Google Sheet and you have headers. And once you've designed the first header the way you like it, then you can use paint format to copy that to all the rest of the headers. So you don't have to go in here and make 6 changes or 12 changes or whatever that may be. All right. So that's pretty cool. I want to show you something that hopefully will just really amaze you. So I'm going to make myself some space here. Google keeps employing artificial intelligence in everything they have. and they've been doing it with something called machine learning for the last 12 years or so. And just recently, with these large language models, perhaps you've heard of that, they're getting into some new intense kind of AI stuff. And those features are not yet available to us. They'll be over here somewhere, a little AI button. We click on it, and it's going to help us out to do some different things. And it's pretty cool. I have practiced with it and tried it, but it's not available to everybody just yet. But they've had machine learning going on for a long time. And what is that? That's just a narrow form of artificial intelligence. And in this case, we're going to use a tool that's called voice typing. So we're going to use, I have my little cheat sheet here, and you can get these online. And if you'd like me to send one to you, I can. Just send me an email. Or maybe I will post a link to this on our wonderful spreadsheet that Diana had made for us. And so I have my Google Docs voice commands in front of me. And so what I'm about to show you is, and I'm going to go find the tools real quick. And down here it says voice typing. If I want to use my keyboard shortcut, I can do that. Do you notice that none of these are grayed out? Sometimes when there's a feature that we want to use, it's grayed out. If you're not using Google Chrome as your browser, you will not be able to do this. So make sure you're using Google Chrome. So let's go back to Tools. I'm going to go down to voice typing. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to get this cool little microphone icon there. The first time you do it, Google will prompt you and say, do you want to give, Google permission to use your microphone? And the answer is yes, if you want to use this feature. So it's pretty straightforward. I got my cursor right here. I'll move it up one. It says click to speak. And I'm going to do that in just a second. So machine learning and artificial intelligence, machine learning is a narrow form of artificial intelligence. It keeps getting better and better. In fact, it's getting so good that even though sometimes I get tired and I mumble, or maybe some of us are using English as a second language and maybe we have an accent to some degree or another, machine learning is getting good enough to make this work. So keep that in mind and watch what's about to happen. So I'm just going to give you a hint here real quick. Punctuation marks are like period, comma, exclamation point. So I can start telling a story about the little brown fox that ran up the hill, period. Then it should throw the period down. Or if I'm in the middle of a sentence and I want a comma or an exclamation point or a question mark, any of those, in my little voice commands, I've got all of those right in front of me so I can practice with this. So then there's other ones that we're going to try. Select all, make things bold, italicize, underline, double space, change, font size, increase font size, color red. We're going to try some of those and see how it works. But the first thing I want you to notice is just how well this thing is going to hear my speech and do it. And I apologize if this story is silly. I'm going to be making it up on the fly. So here we go. The little brown fox ran up the hill and sat under a giant oak tree, exhausted, period. Then, comma, all of a sudden, comma, his friend Chucky came around the corner and startled him, exclamation point. New paragraph. So, comma, the two of them decided that they were going to go for a swim in the nearby pond, period. They decided they were going to race each other, period. They began running so fast that by the time they got to the water, they tripped and tumbled themselves right into the deep blue water. Kerplash! Exclamation point. So I'm going to stop that right there. You notice I said kersplash. It didn't know what I was saying, so it skipped it. But it is underlined. I'm curious to see if it's going to give, did you mean water flash? So it's pretty good, and it does things pretty quickly, but I invented a word and it didn't like it, so I could come back and I could type it in, not a problem, okay? So I'm going to, right now, I'm just going to select this because if I had kept going, I could have said select all and everything that I'd written so far, it would have selected it. I'm just going to use this one for right now. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to try some new commands. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to say, all right, bold, italicized, underlined, line spacing double. Well, that didn't work. What happened? I was looking down at my page and I looked back and it went crazy. So let's try this. Undo, undo, undo. There it is. Not sure which word it got tripped up on. So clearly this is a work in progress, but I've seen people that know how to use this and it really is impressive. The best thing though is that it's going to follow your words as it'll type out just as fast as you can go. And if you pause, put in a comma. If you get to the end of a statement, then put a period or whatever, and it will do it. But since this is still selected, let's see if I can just get change some colors. Font color red, font color blue, increase font size, increase font size, underline. Okay, so it was underline it didn't like. I'm looking at the voice commands here, and underline is one of the options, but for some reason, it's getting hung up on that. Okay, we'll get that fixed at some point. But you get the idea. Without using my mouse or my keyboard, that's something that's pretty slick. And so I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm tired, and when I'm typing, I'm hitting so many keys with my sausage fingers, it's kind of annoying. So it's kind of nice to know that you can start dictating notes. So I would imagine, since this is the psychologist department, there's a lot of meeting notes and different things where you have to talk about IEPs or different things like that. And yeah, you can spend a half an hour typing, or you can spend 5 minutes just saying what it is you want. And just remember, you can always go back and say, oh, well, I want this blue too. So I'm just going to go up here and say, that color. Boom. That's a terrible color. Let's go and select that again. And let's get a better color so it's not so annoying to look at. How about red? So yes, we can use all of our formatting things, everything that we have up here. We can change whatever we want, but we can at least get the words down there by doing the voice typing. That's a pretty cool thing. So I just wanted you to know that that's a possibility. And again, this only works if you are in Google Chrome as a browser. Firefox doesn't work. Microsoft Edge doesn't work. So if you want to use all of the tools that are available to you, then that's what you can do. All right. So the next thing I want to share with you is sharing. So this document so far just belongs to me. And I'm going to go up here to where it says share. And so we've seen this before as we were using Drive the other day, if we were in Google Sheets or Google Slides or something, it kind of looks the same. So it says share formatting and editing. That's the name of this document. It says right up here. All right. So people with access. So far, it's just me, and I'm the owner. So let's go ahead and put Diana. We're not going to put the other Peterson that I mentioned the other day. We're going to do Diana.
Sharon.
Sharon, that's what it was. Yes, we love Sharon. She retired from our office about 2017, I want to say. Anyway, so there she is. I just started typing it in, and so there it is. There's Diana Peterson. And by default, it's going to make Diana an editor. Okay, that's great. And we'll just click on here to see what our options are. We could make Diana just a viewer, so she gets to see this document for whatever reason. So be thinking about when you're making a document, and by the way, this sharing thing pretty much works the same way for folders. In this case, we would have inside folders, we would have like this formatting and editing thing. Be thinking about who you have that you want to share stuff with and what kind of designation or permissions you would like to give them. So again, I could make, she's by default going to be an editor as soon as I click send, which is like a save button, or I could make Diana a viewer and a commenter, or an editor. And if I wanted to, I could say, you know what, you have access to this, but only for a day, a week, a month, 47 days, whatever. You can go in there and do all of that. We're going to leave her as an editor. If I wanted to, I could type out a message. I'm not going to take the time to do that. And I'm just going to say send. And so we'll see what happens. Access updated. All right. So now if I go back up to share, now it not only lists myself as an owner, but it says Diana Peterson as an editor. And you'll notice there's a more button there. So let's see what the options are now. Oh, okay. So it's all the same ones we had before down to here. But now, since I'm going to retire in about 15 minutes and Diana's going to take over my job as trainer for the district, I'm going to transfer the ownership to, no, I'm not going to do that, but I could. Or if someone's misbehaving or they just moved to a different department or something, I could remove access. I could do that. That's pretty slick. Just for fun, I want to see if these are still, oh, they are still in there. So if I type in a T, I have my pretend trainer. So someone in the district found my Paul McCarthy, and they said, Paul McCarthy does not, McCartney. Holy cow. Wow, the Fab Four. Someone saw it in the district and said, that shouldn't be there, and they erased it, so I don't have access to it anymore. But I have these other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and click on John Lennon. I'm going to hit a T again. I'm going to leave him editor. I'm going to Ringo Starr. Why not hit T again? We'll get George Harrison in there. We're going to make them all editors. I'm going to say send. And now it's all shared with all of them. And if I go back up to share, then we can see they're all there. So I want to keep John Lennon an editor, but maybe George Harrison, we're going to give him only like a week or so or something like that. Or maybe we just want to make him a viewer. We'll make him a viewer for right now. And you know, Ringo, he's always trying to entertain everybody and by being funny. So he's been misbehaving. We're going to remove access. He's gone. And I say save, and all that's been done. So we have the ability to do all of this stuff, but there's a lot more to share that we can do. So be thinking about a folder you have. And if you want to share something in there with other psychologists, or maybe it's the teachers you want to share it with, or maybe it's the parents of the IEP students you're working with, or whatever the case may be, we have other share opportunities. These are the restricted ones where we just have to put the name and whatever of each individual and then decide what their permission designation is. And right now we're in restricted. But look at this. Only people with access can open with the link. So it's restricted, but there's a more button here. Okay, so we could do this. San Diego Unified. So it says anyone in this group with the link can view it. So I could copy this link and I could email it out to all the teachers or to the other psychologists and say, hey, guess what? You're all viewers, or you're viewers with commenters, or you could make them all editors. That's interesting. So if it got out there in the internet, and if you had a sandy.net email address, you'd have access to that. All right. But wait, there's a more button. What else is there? How about this one? Anyone with the link is a viewer. Can I change it to editor? So if I posted this link, if I copied it and put it on our web page, whatever it was, and made anybody with that link an editor, that would be a bit of a nightmare if this could be changed by just about anybody, but it gives us that option. That's pretty cool. Let's just go back and we'll just put it San Diego Unified with the link, and I'll say done, and there we go. So that is how we can share things. So let's take a look here. All right. So yes,
Doug,
please.
can I ask you a question? So
You bet.
this sharing docs or files, I guess, is always confusing for people. If we give them in our own drive, in our own psych folder, if we give all our people that are psych access and then they want to share it with someone outside our department, what happens is the people outside our department don't have access because they're not in our Google folders in our shared drive. So
Yes, I believe that's how it works.
everyone has to make a copy of it. And a lot of times they don't make a copy, they just share the link directly, and then somebody from some random schools sends it back to like whoever it is. Say me, for example, if I created the file, then I have to go back and say, hey, ask your site to make a copy and share it with you that way. So I don't know if there's a workaround for that. I mean, it
There
happens
kind of is.
enough. Okay.
There kind of is. And so really what we're talking about, I can't imagine we're going to want to share it with everybody and their parents and their aunts and uncles or whatever in editing format. But if it's just view, then sure, we could just go here to share, and we could say, you know, not just San Diego, but anyone with the link. So now everybody can have it. And we just want to make sure that no, oops, accidentally, we just want them to be able to view it, that document. Now, when they get the copy of that link, they're good to go as soon as I push done.
Okay. If it's
Because
view only. If some
I,
of them are meant to be editable. So in that case, it's just everyone needs to learn that I need to make a copy of something that I want to either edit or share with somebody outside my department. I think it's just a training issue at that point, don't you think? On how to use
possibly,
it.
but remember, so let's say you have 20 email addresses of staff members that you want to be editors. You could copy that list and paste it right here, hit done, and they're all editors. And then it's all the parents and everybody else, the teachers, that are just viewers. And then if there's one person on that list you want to just be a viewer of the 20 you put there, you go find that person's name and you switch it to just viewer. You have control of it that way. So that's one way to do it. And
Okay.
then so yeah, you can control it that way, but you're right. You are limited. You're kind of in San Diego Unified, whenever you try to share with, you probably notice this, you try to share with someone outside the district that doesn't have a sandy.net email address, and it's always warning you, are you sure? Are you sure you can trust these people? Whatever. And so it just takes a little bit more effort. But yes, we can share it, and that's how you would do it with a link, but make sure they're not all editors because that could create some problems. So if we just go back to Drive real quick, oh, look, our picture showed up. Isn't that nice? So again, I'm in the today's folder here, and if I just do this drop down menu, or remember, just right click, and I can go to share here. I can share this folder the same way that we did that one document, and whatever permissions I share in this folder, everything inside of it is available with the same share permission. So we discussed that and went in great detail in our Google Drive class. So I would have you refer back to that. And also I would just say that how to share a Google Doc. I got this little 13-minute video, how to share a Google Sheet, how to share a folder, all these different things. Here's how to share a folder in Drive. It's 10 minutes long. So remember, we have these little videos that kind of explain in great detail how to do that. And I promise you'll see Paul McCartney in one of those because I made those before somebody erased them. So let's go back to here. All right. So real quick, what I wanted to do, we've looked at the user interface. We've talked about some of the important features that are there, some of the little tips and tricks and things. I want to show you something else that is just really cool. And so if I go to insert right here, and there's all kinds of stuff we can do. We already talked about images. A table is really easy. How do you do a table? Well, you just pick whatever layout you want, boom, and wherever your cursor was, there it is. And you'll notice that if I have my cursor in there, I have this little ellipsis that shows up, the more button, and I hit that. And so, hey, look, it's you want to fill in, the background color. You want to make those lines a different color. You want to make the borders a different thickness. You want them to be hash marks or straight. And there's a whole thing of table options there. We'll click on that in just a second. But look at this. If I just select a couple of these, like across there, and then I right click, I get a shortcut menu. Insert row above, row below. Insert 6 columns to the left, 6 columns to the right. Delete the row, delete the table. Merge cells. Okay, that's what I want. Bam. Now I've just merged the cells and it's still selected. So I could go up here and I could say, you know what, we're going to make that a header. And I've decided I want it kind of this yellowy corn color. Let's see if that worked. There it is. So yeah, I can start to do stuff just like if you were in Google Sheets. That's pretty cool. Look at this, table options. It opens up a whole thing over here. It's all to do with this little table. So again, if I'm up here and I right click, my shortcut menu is going to look a lot different than if I right click on a table or if I right click on a picture. Remember that you're going to have different tools. And depending on where you are and what you click on, you might see your quick access toolbar change with the different options that are available for this case, the table options or whatever. But over here, quick layouts to move things around the screen real fast. Same thing, type of alignment. So if you want to control the columns, you've got those options, row, cell, the padding where the words aren't going to touch the sides because you pad it so that there's a little white space around where the words are going to go. The color of the cell, you have some options there. And so pretty much anything you can do with the table in Google Sheets, you have access to it right here in Google Docs. That's pretty cool. I'm going to go down another page. How about right here? And I'm going to do delete, move that up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put my cursor right here in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and go get a picture. Boom. And I'm going to say, and remember, you can get it from your Drive. You can get it from your Google Photos. If you have a web address, a URL, Uniform Resource Locator, that's just a web address of a picture somewhere. You can go get it that way. If you've got a digital camera connected to your computer system, you could do that. If you have something on your computer in a file, you can get it from there or your Drive. We're going to search the web. I'm just going to type in horses again because we like horses. And let's try a different one this time. Oh, this one. We'll see if this one works. There it is. Okay. So the picture's there. my cursor's up here somewhere. Our quick access toolbar is looking the same as it always has. And as soon as I click on the picture, watch what happens. Not only is it now selected with these manipulation points where I can then go to there and start changing the size of stuff if I want. That's cool. I have all these options down here in a more button there. We'll talk about that in a second. But look up here. Look at all this. Okay, border color. Oh, okay. Border weight. That's how thick is the line. Let's go ahead and make a border, and how about 3? Okay, that's kind of cool. Border color. I don't know. Let's pick this heavy duty blue so it kind of stands out. That's pretty cool. Do we want it hash marked? Nope, terrible idea. Undo. Remember that. All you got to do is undo. It's very quick. So if we want to crop this somehow, in other words, we want to just see the one horse, we could use the cropping tool. If I want to reset the image to where it was before, if I want to replace an image, go get another one and have it pop right back in that same spot. Image options, we're going to look at that in just a second. But there's all kinds of things you can do with this. Right now, we see a gray circle, blue circle around this one, and it says inline. Sure enough, where the cursor was, it pushed the paragraph up and the paragraph down, and it put the picture in there. This one says wrap text. Okay, that's interesting. What's the next one? Break text. It's kind of the same thing we saw before. Behind the text, and it does mean behind the text, and so you'll see the text in front of it. So we have all these different options. Let's go ahead and leave it on wrap text. I'm going to shrink this just a little bit so it fits on our page a little better. Right now it's 1/8 margin. Look at this. The text wraps around it because that's what the choice was that we did. And here's the 1/8 of an inch on this side. There's some bigger gaps over here, of course, because, the words and the sentences end where they do. But on this side, where the word is pressed up against it, it's 1/8 inch margin. What other options do we have? All kinds of them. In fact, we can customize it. So move with the text. That's what it is right now. What does that mean? That means if I go up here and I start adding more material, it's going to stay right where it is. Undo. I'm going to do a couple of undo, bring it back. Okay. What are our other options? Maybe this is a newsletter or something, and it's right in the middle of this page, and that's where we want it to stay. Do we have a choice with that? Yeah, fix the position on the page. What that means is if you make that selection, then as you start adding words and sentences, they sort of cascade, waterfall down, and the picture stays exactly where it is. That's pretty cool. Position options. There's all kinds of stuff. Well, let's click here. Remember, when you see options for anything, it's going to give you all kinds of ways to control this. And we could spend a lot of time playing with all of these options, and they keep adding more all the time. Thank you, Google. Recoloring, what? No color. Okay, let's make it green. Oh, that's a little harsh. Undo. They've got all this cool stuff in here that you can do, adjustments of all different kinds. Opacity, you can make this see-through in case you want the words behind it to show up through, maybe like a watermark or something. That'd be cool for like a I don't know, a newsletter or something like that. You could have like a picture of something, and then it's very light because of the opacity setting. And then we just switch it so that the words are in front of it. That's pretty cool. Make our own watermark out of a picture. So we can spend lots of time on this. And just remember, if we click on it, not only is our menu going to change, but when we right click on something, we're going to have a shortcut menu. In this case, is referring to images. A lot of the options that are up there are now here. And if I just right click on words, then it's going to have things that have more to do with words. And we saw the table before where we could add rows and merge cells and do all of that stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'm just going to go back here to file real quick. And it behooves us to spend some time and just see what all of our options are. So emailing it, okay, we can email it there. We know it's going to be a little bit troublesome for trying to get it into our Outlook, but maybe we can go figure that out. Download. If I want to, I can take this and turn it into a PDF right here. I could also turn it into a Word document. Wow. I have some options here. That's pretty cool. I could rename it. I could move it to a different folder. I could put a shortcut on Drive so I can get to it. I can move it to the trash. Version history. That's pretty cool. So if this is something we've been working on for months, and then we decide, that 2 weeks ago, that was the best version, we could go back through the version history and find it. This was just made today, so it's not really going to be a version history. We can try it, see what it says. So that's right now. Let's see what it was before. Okay, that's before we did any changes at all. And if we want, we can restore it back to that version at 203. We don't. We're going to keep it where it is. So there we go. So again, just take some time to go through here. Every once in a while, you're going to see a little blue or a little blue something that says new because they're adding something new to it. Details, this will tell us who owns it, who it's shared with, what the permissions are. Language, this is kind of cool. I played with this earlier today. I tried it with a whole 8-page document. It didn't work. It kind of worked for a while and then it sort of disappeared. But I did one single paragraph and switched it to Spanish. And based on my 4 years of college Spanish, it looked really good. And Google's gotten really good at that. And look at all those languages that are available to translate into. That's amazing. But again, if it's an 8-page document, it might take a while and then not work. That happened to me earlier. Page setup. This is where we can work on portrait, landscape, margins all the way around, change page colors, do different things like that. And so it's just a good idea to kind of look around and see all what's available, find and replace. If everywhere it says Microsoft Word 2013 and we want to switch all the 2013s to 2016, we can say find the 2013s and replace it with 2016. And now I've just updated my entire document and there's 8 pages of 2013s everywhere. So I could do that. Or in this case, because I have 2013 and 2016, I could say find 2013 and 2016 and replace it with just 2016. I could do that. That's pretty cool. What about view? So what mode are we in right here? Let's try that again. Mode. Okay, we're in editing mode. It says so on the far right, and that's why we have our toolbar and all that stuff available to us. If we want to just be doing suggesting or viewing, we could select those other ones. But look, there's a check mark with show print layout. Remember I said this is print layout where you can see the ruler and you can see the page and all that? That's exactly what this is. In view, we have that selected. Show ruler, show outline. Outline is an advanced feature. It only works if you use the headings and the styles that are available to do that. And we can look at that afterwards. That's kind of a little bit more advanced. It doesn't work anything as well as Microsoft Word, so I don't bother sharing it. But if you want to learn about it later, we can talk about it. So there's just a number of different things that we can do here on View. Insert, we talked about this. We showed the options for images, tables. Yeah, there's a drawing thing in there. We can add charts, horizontal line, emojis, smart clip or smart chips. We could do drop down menus. That's pretty cool. We could do footnotes. They got all these new. This is something that's fairly new. Haven't even had a chance to play with it. Okay, building blocks. That's the same thing that showed up at the front. Remember, we had the meeting notes and the email and all of that. So that's the way we can get to it once those disappear. This is what I wanted to show you. Right. Well, we'll just take a look real quick. Watermark, that's pretty cool. That showed up about a year and a half ago. Headers and footers, that's one way to get to it, but we already know we can double click and get to that. Page numbers, the same thing. Here's where we can break our document, whatever length it is, we can put breaks between the pages or sections, and then we can control the headers and footers in each one of those sections, like we talked about before. Here's links, comments, make some sort of emoji reaction and a bookmark. So I want to show you special characters. And so I'm going to click on, actually, I'm going to go to a new page here first. I'll put my cursor here. And I'll put the cursor right there. Then I'm going to go to Insert and go down to Special Characters. And so now we get this dialog box called Insert Special Characters. And we're going to look at that in just a second. But just in case you haven't seen it, here is our course outline for all the different courses that I teach in Google as well as Microsoft. And it's basically our calendar. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see there's September, October, November. We can get down here real quick to January. And this is where you could just click on a link and you can then go sign up for one of these classes. Like this is one that's coming up. I can click right there and I can go to that. Well, that's pretty cool. It's a nice calendar. Guess what? This was not done in Google Sheets. This was done in Google Docs. But wait, there's more. So I'm going to scroll back up here a little bit. And so after looking at the course descriptions and all of that, there's a link here that says, click here kind of a thing, and it's going to take you straight down to January. You just click on it, bookmark, boom. Well, that's kind of cool. So how did we do that? Well, all I had to do is come down here to January, put my cursor there in the front, go to Insert, and say bookmark, and then it, boom, it had a bookmark there. Then when I went back up to the top, let's click away from that, back up to the top, anywhere I was, I just selected all this stuff. I right-clicked on it, and I said link it to the bookmark. So whenever you click on any of this, it'll take you straight to that bookmark down there. So pretty straightforward. You can just kind of play with that and figure it out as you're going. It goes very quickly. That's pretty cool. So let's go back to here real quick. So I want to insert some special characters. So right now we're in the category of symbols. And specifically, we're in arrows, the symbol of an arrow. Look at all of the different arrows that are available. There's a lot, all right? There's so many. What if I want one of these? I want this one. Click. There it is. It's not very big. Let's make these bigger. About 36. Okay, now we can see them a little better. And then I'll move this over to the right just a little bit. In fact, we'll go from 100 up to 125, so the page is a little bit bigger. Okay, so my cursor's right here, and now I could put, I could put some spaces in there with my space bar if I want. If I want to click on this one, there it is. Click on that one. Click on this one, whatever. It'll just start putting these symbols in there. Well, there's a lot of different kind of arrows there. Well, what other kind of symbols are there? Oh my goodness. Look at all these. Currency, really? Okay. That looks like yen. That looks like the pound. Okay. There's quite a few there that I don't recognize. That's great. There are so many just in symbols. It's kind of ridiculous. Well, what other categories besides symbols are there? Emoji, punctuation, numbers, modifiers, Latin, Middle Eastern scripts, South Asian scripts, all this stuff to, write Chinese and stuff. There's all these different categories that we have here. It's incredible. Let's just look at this one. Okay. Well, I'd have to brush up on my Chinese since I've never studied it in my life. But if I recognize the symbol and I want to put it in there, sure enough, I can do that. But that's not why I brought you here. I brought you here because let's get out of there. There we go. Trying to make some space here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Make it 36. Okay, that's a little bit bigger. All right. I wanted to show you this. Check this out. So what's the symbol we're looking for? Is it a circle? Which one you want, Mr. J? The moon? What is that? Actually, I'm not done there, Google. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. Is it a circle with a line in it? A frowny face? What is it? Okay, maybe it's one of these. Yep, that's the guy I wanted. That's pretty cool. All right, how about this? Well, actually, I need an arrow that points up towards the right. So let's do that. Oh, it's giving me Chinese. There's an arrow pointing to the right. That's pretty cool. Let's try the other way. Not a very good drawer, but let's see if it figures it out. Sure enough, there's an arrow that way. Maybe it's one of these. And I can click on, again, as many of these as I want. So I'm going to click right there and go down a little bit, make some room. So yeah, this thing's pretty sophisticated. So I can start to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And as I'm drawing it, it's like trying to figure out what I'm doing. There's a house right there. That's pretty cool. Let's do a smokestack there with some smoke coming out. Maybe put a door on the front. As you can see, I'm not a very good drawer, but look what it's doing. It's giving me all these different options. Okay, we'll pick that one. Wedding? Not sure. Oh, there's hearts on. Oh, it's a church. There we go. Where's the house? There's a house right there. Okay, so that's pretty slick that we can do that. I'm going to give you a more practical one. How about this? Somewhere in all of those different special characters is an Enya. What's an Enya? Maybe I got to go down a little bit. There it is. There's an Enya. Or maybe there's the letter A with an accent mark over the top. There it is. How cool is that? We can draw that out. Microsoft, 1,000 times more powerful than Google. It doesn't have this feature. Google wins. Thank you, Google. So that's pretty cool. So now I can spell Avenida Mañana, which is the cross street to my house. And I could do that. Or we have our kiddos with their names and all that. We could do all of those things. That's pretty cool. And so again, just to look around and see what's there and formatting, what can we do to text? We can do all kinds of stuff to it. Paragraph styles, that was this one that I said that they're trying to catch up to Word. It doesn't work very well, but we can look at that later if you want. Alignment, left, columns, bullets, numberings, headers, footers, numbers, page orientation, which goes first, all that. If we were in tables, these wouldn't be grayed out. And then tools, spelling and grammar, we can check that one out in a second. Word count, that's pretty cool. Compare documents. It didn't used to be able to do that a few years ago. Explore, this is where we can just have a pane on the right and we can type in things that we're looking to figure out, and it'll give us Google search so we can get stuff and maybe copy and paste it and put it in. We can link objects. We've got a dictionary. translate the document. We saw that before. Voice typing, we did that already. And here's some accessibility issues or whatever. All of that's very cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the beginning of this. I'm going to get rid of our little thing here, and I'm almost done. I just want to add some extra stuff. So the word practice, I'm going to accidentally put an extra C in that. Microsoft, put an extra C there. Why not? Sentence, an extra C in that one. How about we just put a C at the end of some? That's cool. I'm misspelling words, in other words. And put a C there, and how about other with a C at the end or something like that. So I have some misspelled words. Okay, we've seen this before. We could just right click on it because it's got a red line under it. It recognizes, hey, did you mean practice? You know, and all we got to do is click on it and boom, it's going to switch it right then and there. But what if we want to just check the whole document? We have this shortcut here if we can remember it's there. Or maybe we remember it's in tools, the same one. Let's try that again. Spelling and grammar check. There we go. All right. And so now we get this little dialog box up here and it says, okay, here's Microsoft spelled with two C's. Is this what you would like to change? Let me move my Zoom window out of the way. So if I want to accept it, I can, or I can just click right here. That's pretty cool. What's our other option? Accept all. Maybe there's 12 of them I misspelled and I can fix them all at the same time if they're the same way. Or maybe this is the spelling of someone's name and they have an unusual spelling. It's not in our dictionary. I could ignore it all. But for right now, I'm just going to say Microsoft. It switched it. Now it went to sentence with those two C's. I switched it. The next one is some with a C on the end. It figured it out. I'm going to say accept this time. And then this one is other with a C on the end. If this was someone's name and it was an unusual spelling and our dictionary didn't figure it out and we're tired of that person's name showing up as misspelled, all I have to do is add it to the dictionary. And from now on, whenever that one shows up, guess what? It's not going to underline it or flag it as misspelled. So that's pretty cool. I'm not going to add it to the dictionary because it's actually not someone's name, but that's pretty sweet that you can do that. And so there it is. You can either do it one at a time and then figure out, you know, what it is you're trying to do, or you can open this up by simply clicking this feature right here. And if you want to get rid of it, you can hit the X there. But remember, when there's a little gray blue box around something, just deselect it. That one's not going to do it. It tricked Mr. J. You're going to have to use this one. Thank you, Google, for being always consistently inconsistent. All right. So we have looked at the user interface. We have shared this document. We've shown you some tips and tricks of how to jump around everywhere. We've kind of done a cursory glance through all of these, talking about the importance of spending time practicing with this different stuff, and then recognizing that there's going to be new stuff all the time, and it will have like a little blue thing that says new in it or something like that. I remember just about 6 months ago, I opened this up and there was about 6 new buttons all over the place in these drop-down menus. And now they're not there anymore. You know why? Because they've been there for a while. They figured we already know it's new. So they're always adding stuff to it. So at this point, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to present just some basics about how to use Google Docs. And at the same time, being able to explain a little bit about how Drive works. And just a reminder, we might come back and this home button might disappear next week because it wasn't here last week. Different things happen. Google's changing things all the time. Remember, they're trying to make it better for us, but they listen to their users. And if everybody calls up and says, I really don't like priority, they'll get rid of it. And they replaced it a week ago, priority with home. And if everybody complains about this one, they'll move it to something else. But then they do some really cool things like up here, where we have a more easily understood icon for grid layout or list layout up there. So at this point, we are going to say that we've gone through all these basic features. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming today to be a part of our training.